Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? How's everyone doing today? It is an absolutely gorgeous day here in Bali. The sun finally came out. Like, since I got here, it's very rainy, very grey. It's actually still quite cloudy, but the nice thing about having at least a little bit of clouds is it kind of balances out the sun. But I hope you're well wherever you are. I pushed the podcast a little bit because I noticed Baron was still on. So I'm sure everybody will join. I don't know if he's finished over there, but I'm sure everybody will join when he's done. Thank you everybody who's here now. Quite a few things to get through. I'm going to respond to some of your comments on my last video. There were some rather angry comments that I was quite surprised to see, kind of regarding my comments regarding the Kardashians. And I think they kind of got misinterpreted, misunderstood. So I just wanted to address some of those comments because, yeah, I think some people just maybe didn't get what I was saying, or because they liked the Kardashians, or because they thought that maybe I was comparing the Kardashians to, people who are friends with the Windsors, and that's really not where I was coming from at all. So I feel like I just need to clear some of that up. But thank you, everyone. Oh, Baron is done. Okay, thanks for letting me know. I will catch his replay later. Hit the thumbs up button, please, and subscribe button if you haven't already. So just to wrap things up with this whole Picturegate, it would appear that indeed people signed consent forms as to whether or not, they wanted to be photographed and probably also filmed, because the Kardashians have a show. And it would appear that the Kardashians people did not realize that Harry and Meghan and some other people had signed the consent form, which to me, I have to say, first of all, I think is a great oversight. These people are millionaires, they're billionaires, they're very protective of their privacy. And we know that Harry and Meghan go to events quite often, and they've never been photographed inside. And that's something that they take quite seriously. So, huge oversight on the Kardashian side. I just want to also reiterate something that I did say in my last podcast, and this seemed to also get missed. And so I'll say it again. I don't like the Kardashians. I don't. But I trust Harry and Meghan, and I trust that they will be careful around whoever it is that they're around. Why don't I like the Kardashians? Well, there's quite a few reasons. They stole money from a black woman. Maybe some people don't know about that. Early days when they were still up and coming, they stole money from Brandy and her mother. It was sold outside the court. I feel that they've appropriated. I'm just saying this because people were asking me in the comments why I don't like the Kardashians. I feel that they have made a lot of their money off of the back of appropriating Black culture. I feel that they've been a terrible influence for women and girls in terms of body image. And by saying all of that, I'm not trying to compare, their sense of morals to whoever it is the Windsors are friends with. Of course not. That would be ridiculous. Who the Windsors are affiliated with are obviously worse. All I was trying to say in my last podcast is the Kardashians as a family are known for doing shady things, hanging around shady people. Kourtney Kardashian, when she thought that it wasn't a big deal, bragged openly about, going to Diddy parties and all of this kind of stuff. And all I was trying to say in my podcast is I just hope Harry and Meghan are being, careful. And I'm sure that, this was Chris's 70th birthday, that they just went, they went to be polite. They were invited. There were many other people there, but those many other people there, I don't really care as much about those many other people. I just care that Harry and Meghan are okay, and that, they're protecting their space and their energy. So that's really all I was, trying to say. I don't, who am I? I'm not here to tell Harry and Meghan what to do, who they hang around. All I can say as a fan is I hope that their space and their energy is protected regardless of whoever they're around. Like, that's more where I was coming from. And I hope that, makes sense now, because maybe that seemed to, what I was saying just kind of got lost in translation. I wanted to read. Wait, there was something that somebody said. Just give me a sec if I can find it. Oh yeah, I think it was Elizabeth Cumberbatch said, it's none of our business what Harry and Meghan does with their social life. Some squaddies are very rude and use their inflection against the Kardashian family. Meghan and Harry are their own unique persons and are very kind, not vindictive, like some people call themselves fans. Yeah, it's none of our business. Like, they can do what they want, but as a fan, I can still say, I hope that they're just protecting their space and being smart around people that are known to be shady. Respectfully, if you don't know everything about the Kardashians' shady social climbing ways, then I can understand that. But I feel like if you did, you would understand where we're coming from. And indeed, like Elizabeth Cumberbatch said, Harry and Meghan are their own unique persons. Yeah, they are. And I would never sit here to try and in anything that I say to be like, oh, I'm trying to dictate what Harry and Meghan do or who they do and don't hang around. That is not where I was coming from at all. And I don't know how that kind of, how what I was saying came across like that. So I just hope that has been cleared up. Harry and Meghan are now of a certain class and of a certain group of people. So they will be in these circles, period. And sometimes there may be people around them that we don't personally like. But like I said, I just hope they're protecting their energy space and being careful. Because I'll give you another example. Emma Greedy, right? The lady who interviewed Meghan. She is connected to the Prince's Trust. I think she was given an honor by them not too long ago, actually, sometime this year. And we know that anybody connected to the royal household, OBE, CBE, whatever it is, there's always something with them that happens when it comes to Harry and Meghan. So what I'm saying, it's not even just about the Kardashians. Let me just say that. It's about anyone, really, that gets close to Harry and Meghan. Anyway, I think that's the end of that. We know why the photos were deleted now. The British tabloids, always with their BS. Harry and Meghan were snubbed. No, they weren't. They were at this party, and I'm sure they're at many parties that we don't even know about because they're very careful with their privacy. All right, on to some... Oh, actually, before I get into any more royal news, as I have the platform that I do, and I know that a lot of Black women listen to me, there's this emerging story regarding Pfizer and one of their birth control shots, Depo-Provera, which has now been found to cause brain tumors. And Black women in particular were actually prescribed this at double the national rate in the United States. So if you are, or any woman, because they were giving this to everyone, even in the UK, I found out that they were actually giving this out in the UK. But I think what happened in the UK was there were certain warnings that were given through the UK authorities that the FDA did not give in the US. So if you have taken this birth control, or you know anybody that's taken this birth control, please get the word out. They were, over prescribing it to Black women at a much higher rate than anyone else. And there is a class action lawsuit going on that you can join, or just talk to your doctor if you have taken it, about, to see if you have any potential symptoms. Rather awful story, but I know that a lot of Black women, a huge portion of my audience is Black women. So I just wanted to share this. And please be careful with some of these birth controls that maybe I'd never even heard about this type of shot, that it was even available. I only really know about the pill or the IUD, or the basic stuff. I'd never even heard about this, but apparently this is a thing. And it's finally actually being reported in mainstream media. Okay, so on to more positive news. The trailer for Masaka Kids, A Rhythm Within, has come out, and Megan is on the list as a producer. I don't think Harry's name is there, but I mean, this is in collaboration with Archwell, so it looks like a very interesting story. We'll definitely be watching it. Make sure you please do stream it. And they're also raising or continuing to raise funds. And Archwell have donated $50,000. You can go on the GoFundMe, Masaka Kids Africana official GoFundMe, and donate more to that organization. They're trying to raise 100,000 K. Very thoughtful of Archwell, and what seems like a very inspirational, joyful story. So please put that in your calendars to watch. Okay, on to the next thing. What else have we got today? Something again, unfortunately, very tragic. This just angered me so much. Now, I remember when this story first happened, and then I felt like it kind of just disappeared. So just to recap, Sophie was going to some kind of event, some kind of royal wave about, smile and wave about, but her convoy was speeding. And it hit this old lady. She went flying. She was in the hospital, I think, for a couple of weeks before she passed away. Very elderly lady. And several questions at the time. Number one, why did Sophie, a minor royal, require such a big convoy? Why was it going so quickly? Even if she was running late, I'm pretty sure, royal convoys, official convoys have the right to overtake traffic. I don't think it's ever worth speeding, even if it's for the Prime Minister's car. The day after the Queen died, I was down at Buckingham Palace, and I just so happened to see, I think the Prime Minister had gone to the palace. She was now leaving. I got to the end of the mall, and you turn right to start going towards the gardens. And I heard screaming, yelling, whistling, move, move, move. And it was the police officers that were whistling because the convoy sped fast. And it sped by so freaking fast, dangerously fast. I'm sorry, even for the Prime Minister, I don't think it's worth it to risk knocking someone over driving through London at that speed. But here we have a minor royal that was speeding for some reason. Now, there's even a conspiracy that it wasn't even her. And that the moment they found out that someone got hit, they changed the story, that there was actually somebody else in that car, perhaps a more senior royal. Just a conspiracy. But I just find it despicable. Number one, how this got brushed under the carpet in the first place. And now the Royal Escort motorcyclist being found not guilty. Despite the fact that there were some fishy things going on at the time with his body cam and not using his whistle. The whistle that I saw when I saw the Prime Minister's convoy, coming around, them whistling and hoopering and hollering that a convoy is coming. But I can imagine for an elderly lady, maybe her hearing isn't great, maybe her sight isn't great, maybe she wouldn't even hear or see if they had been whistling or any warning signs. Now, from what I'm about to read, I don't know if this family is going to get any kind of payoff, but I feel that they should, and it should be a big one, and it should be from the royal household. But just imagine if this was our faves, what the headlines would be. Mind you, I think Kate and William's convoy was involved in an accident before. So these things seem to happen with the royals. It was back in I think it was 2019. Again, another, let me just look at the BBC. Where's the article? Sorry, I didn't get it for the slides, but oh yeah, here it is. Back in June 2019, women 83 in hospital after William and Kate convoy crash. An elderly woman is in a serious condition in hospital after a road accident involving the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, as they were called at the time, and their police escort. They were traveling from London to Windsor when the woman was hurt. The accident involved a marked police motorbike in the convoy, and the police watchdog is now investigating. So she was taken to hospital in a critical condition. I think she was stabilized. I don't think she died. Oh, they sent their serious wishes to Irene. I don't know if this woman ever got any compensation. Oh, they sent her flowers. Apparently, they sent her flowers. Yeah, so this isn't the first time this has happened. But this is the outcome with this lady's sad passing. So a police motorcyclist who hit a pensioner while escorting the Duchess of Edinburgh through London has been found not guilty of causing death by careless driving. Helen Holland, 81, died 2 weeks after she was sent flying through the air while at a pedestrian crossing in West Cromwell Road, West London on May 10, 2023. Metropolitan Police Officer Christopher Harrison, 68, was travelling at between 44 and 58 miles per hour as he approached the crossing, which had a 30 miles per hour speed limit at the time, the trial at the Old Bailey previously heard. A jury acquitted PC Harrison on Thursday after deliberating for 2 hours and 28 minutes. After the verdict was returned, a person shouted from the public gallery, "You ruined our family with no consequences." Mr. Justice Martin Chamberlain then told PC Harrison he was free to leave. On the day of the accident, PC Harrison was among the team of convoy motorbike outriders that was escorting Sophie as she left the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office in King Charles's Street just after 3 p.m., jurors were told. The car that the Duchess was in and a police backup vehicle were also part of the convoy. The defendant, who had 21 years of experience in the specialist escort group, said he couldn't put into numbers how many times he had undertaken the journey and that he was very familiar with the route. Miss Holland was 2.9 meters onto the crossing when PC Harrison's motorbike hit her, the court heard. So she was on the crossing? Wait, when they say on the crossing, somebody help me out here. Do they mean that she was in the street, or she was on the pavement? She suffered a skull fracture, bruising to her arms, legs, and body, plus fractures to her lower legs. The post-mortem examination gave the cause of death as complications from a severe head injury. PC Harrison, who became emotional while giving evidence during the trial, told jurors the collision was a tragic accident, which occurred in circumstances he had no control over. Under cross-examination, he accepted he forgot to switch on his body-worn camera and did not use his whistle as he approached the pedestrian crossing, but insisted he had not been complacent that day. So those were the whistles that I would have heard them whistling when the Prime Minister's convoy went past me. When Liz Truss's convoy went past me and took my soul because I felt utterly depressed after it ran past. I also just find it fishy that he wasn't wearing his body cam. So that alone shows a little bit of recklessness. He says, she was just there in front of me. Oh, so she was on the crossing. She was going on the crossing. She just approached between the curb line and the point of collision. At no point did I see her on the island. I'm sorry. What, so she was on the island? Listen, either way, this is very tragic. He should have had his body cam on. Should have, whistled. I mean, they all should be whistling. And also, there just shouldn't have been a police convoy, with a minor royal speeding through London. For what? For what? The point of the matter is, she did not need this level of police presence, and she should not have been speeding through London. That's really the point here. And I'm sure this man is very, very sorry. But I think even a minor manslaughter charge should have been given, at least. And the family needs to be heavily compensated. Heavily. I haven't seen, there's nothing in this news article about money compensation. And I hope they get a hell of a lot of money, because their loved one isn't coming back. And that could have been anyone. And it's difficult for them to even say anything or criticize the royal family, because that could bring problems to them and their family. Horribly tragic. Okay, thanks so much if you're just streaming in. We will get on to the next thing. Very, very sad. And yeah, it is true. No justice at all. So Kate's royal thingamajiggy, Christmas thingamajiggy is coming up, that she does every year. And apparently she's trying to get Hollywood stars, celebrities involved. One of them being Kate Winslet. So now we're getting celebrities in Hollywood involved, even though I thought that was meant to be trashy. Now that I've been following the royals for coming to 4 or 5 years, actually following them, like before, I never followed them before. Before Meghan came in, before I had this podcast, I couldn't care less. I didn't even know what Trooping of the Colour was, for real. Didn't even know what it was. But now I see that there's a merry-go-round of like a handful of things that the royals do every single year, particularly Kate. She'll have her Christmas thing. She'll go to Wimbledon. She'll do trooping. She'll wear her black mourning outfit for, the remembrance. It's just like a carousel of the same things. So if you're a royal watcher, do you not get bored? Do you not get bored? So a few days ago, Netflix released the air date and poster for With Love Meghan, the holiday special. It will be released on December 3rd. There was some muttering about Meghan choosing a release date which would be on or around the Princess of Wales's big Christmas caroling event. Considering Kate hasn't released any confirmation of anything yet, it was funny to watch the deranged community get huffy about it in advance. Well, good news for Kate. Her Christmas event will be staged 2 days after the release of With Love Meghan's holiday special. And apparently, who's going to be there? Kate Winslet and Hannah Waddingham and Chilhowat Ejiofor. I have no idea who Hannah is. But according to Celebritty, she's showing up for an opening of an envelope these days, especially when it comes to anything royal or royal adjacent. Good for her. In general, to strike the iron while it's hot, she got her biggest break in her 40s. Kate Winslet is another one cozying up to the royals a lot lately, and I have no idea why. But Chilhowat, anyway, I'm sure the Princess of Wales will have all 3 kids there, and maybe William will show up too. I mean, they need to if they want to show a united front. Give us some festive glances around Christmas time. While this is barely discussed in the British media, of course, it wouldn't be. The viewership for these specials has cratered in recent years. It will be interesting to see if any outlets try to do a head-to-head matchup between Together at Christmas and With Love Meghan's holiday special. I mean, there's no head-to-head at all, is there? Is there a head-to-head? Because there's no comparison. Oh dear. Anyway, I hope Kate enjoys her Christmas thingy. I won't be watching it. If any of you will be watching it, you can let me know how it goes. How's Kate Winslet? And whoever else is showing up. On to the next thing. Oh, with Love Megan coming out, I did wonder if the royal household would follow suit in copying anything, especially with the products. Now, there has been a documentary that came out. I think it was one of these Channel 5 documentaries. I don't watch TV. I'm abroad. I don't have Channel 5. But I've been seeing clips of it going around where even the royal reporters are basically admitting that Meghan modernized the monarchy. Now, remember when Meghan's As Ever jam came out, all of a sudden they were promoting Charles's jam, and then the same thing happened with, the wine, and all of a sudden now they're promoting the wine. All of a sudden now they're promoting the candles from Highgrove. So King Charles's Highgrove estate is selling holiday candles too. Weird. Over the weekend, clips from a British documentary called The Meghan Effect were circulating on social media. The documentary, which aired on one of the British channels, was all about how the Duchess of Sussex immediately changed the monarchy because of all the Windsors and the way that they started copying Meghan and colonizing everything about Meghan. And I'm so glad they've actually used the term colonizing here, because that's exactly what it is. It's colonization of somebody's identity, theft of somebody's identity. It's mirroring. It's an attempt at destiny swapping, spiritual siphoning. It's all of it. The clips were surprisingly good, with commentators stating openly that Prince William and Kate immediately began copy-keying the Sussex's social media, clothes, work, etc. In one section, the commentary turned to King Charles and how his various brands have benefited from an association with Meghan's As Ever brand too. Of course, it's the Meghan effect. As soon as Meghan started sending out those jam baskets last year, the Windsors couldn't stop copying and riding her coattails. Buckingham Palace's shops started prominently promoting their strawberry jam. In the middle of the jam basket distribution, King Charles's Highgrove jams even sold out. I didn't even know that. You see, Meghan Effect is even making these ridiculous people money while they try to sabotage her. In reaction to Meghan simply sending jams to their friends. This year, Meghan launched her first As Ever wine, a rosé, wouldn't you know. Charles's Highgrove estate quickly began promoting their own discounted wine. Well, funny story, you know how Meghan is now selling $64 candles? The British press has been fussing about those candles for weeks. Well, wouldn't you know, Highgrove is now selling holiday candles too. I actually looked at the online Highgrove shop, and the candles aren't that highly priced. Some of the smaller candles are quite affordable, but yeah, it's so funny how they keep doing this, and they'll keep doing it because they haven't got a single original bone in their body. Not a single original bone, not a single original thought, not a single original sense of style. People who accuse us of wanting to steal their fashion contacts, walking around looking silly. Apparently, it was Charles' 77th birthday. Happy birthday to Harry's dad. New portrait released there in the middle. I'm sure we'll get endless stories about whether or not Charles talked to Harry or Charles talked to the kids, or whether there were pictures sent with the kids. Whatever nonsense from the tabloids, as per usual. I think Harry is genuinely trying with his dad. Like he said, his conscience is clear, and it should be, because he's been more than patient, even when his family were put at risk by his own father. No security pulled. He's been more than patient. Don't know how much patience one person can have. Right, on to the next thing. Apparently, an NEONA, won't say the name because the copyright, or not copyright police, the censor police will get at us, worked at Buckingham Palace. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. Why would we be surprised? Why would we be surprised that an NEO, NA would be working at Buckingham Palace? Just another news day in the royal world, right? This article from Feminagra, who are amazing, by the way. Please do go support them. So, a major security scandal has erupted after ITV News identified Matthew Graville, a 26-year-old extremist linked to far-right networks in Britain and the United States, as former Buckingham Palace warden. His presence inside one of the country's most guarded institutions has sparked demands for accountability, renewed scrutiny of vetting standards, and urgent questions about the spread of violent supremacist ideology. I mean, you had Andrew giving corrupt crypto kings tours of the palace. So, quite frankly, this is even like the least of who I would think would be inside of that institution. This doesn't surprise me at all. Does it surprise you? The discovery lands in a climate where Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex have long been targets of NEONA threats. Yes, there are people that were jailed for this, for targeting Harry, Meghan, and their children, making the revelation even more troubling for observers who view extremism as a growing national risk. And there are even people within the security services who have come out and talked about the risk that Harry and Meghan were under. So how did this person get so close? How were they not vetted? I was always under the impression that if you were to work at the palace, you went through heavy security checks. ITV News uncovered that Graville worked inside the palace's staterooms while playing a key role in two British FASCIST groups. We'll call them FAFA groups, so that censors don't get us. Two British FAFA groups. Staff and visitors saw a polite young warden who guided tours and discussed royal history. Away from public view, he produced propaganda for Active Club England and liaised with senior members of Vanguard Britannica. Undercover footage captured him managing training media, coordinating messages, and supporting groups that promote Rist ideology. So I don't have, well, I can't play the video just in case the copyright police get me, but they did actually confront him on the street with a camera crew and embarrass him. Good on ITV. Some decent journalism for once. Never thought I'd see it. When confronted in West London, Graville described himself as an ethnocentrist, claiming he supported what he called the interests of native Europeans. His language reflected the themes of the Great Replacement narrative, a conspiracy theory embraced by W supremacist movements. He insisted the palace did not examine his political views during vetting. Buckingham Palace declined to discuss individual employees, and the Royal Collection Trust offered a similar response. Officials and campaigners reacted with disbelief. Health Secretary Wes Streeting said no one with such views should be near the royal family or the public sector. Advocacy groups argued that the discovery highlighted vulnerabilities inside national institutions. I mean, if nobody with such views should be near the royal family, I think we need to reassess who some of the courtiers are. Because what do you think the courtiers feel and think? Especially after we've seen what happened to Meghan over the last, when she was in the institution, and even now, what's still happening. Online reactions showed widespread anger at a system that allowed a committed extremist to gain proximity to royal spaces. Many users praised the palace and the trust for transparency, arguing that accountability must extend beyond a standard statement. Only months after leaving Buckingham Palace, Graville traveled to Texas for a private gathering of American far-right leaders. A photograph from the event, later posted on Telegram, showed senior US extremists standing beside their British visitors. ITV News identified Graville among them. He joined workshops connected to Patriot Front, an organization with a history of violent activity, and met Robert Rindo, a founder of Active Club. Experts told ITV the meeting signaled a worrying shift. Neil Basu, so this guy's actually spoken before, when the Harry Stalker incident happened. Neil Basu, the former head of UK terror policing, described the gathering as a new phase in far-right cooperation. The image of British activists mingling with figures linked to hate crimes and violence alarmed analysts who track cross-border extremism. Researchers said Granville's role showed he held considerable influence despite his efforts to obscure his face in public posts. The extremist networks Granville engaged with echo groups previously charged with threats against Harry and Meghan. Over recent years, several W supremacists have been jailed for calling for Harry's execution or attacking Meghan with Irish rhetoric. Those earlier cases form a part of a long timeline in which neo-NA organizations have targeted the couple. Granville's involvement in similar ecosystem has intensified public concern. This is why I know that even if Harry and Meghan were granted armed security when they come to the UK, they're not safe. They're not safe because the very institutions that are meant to be keeping them safe are, first and foremost, potentially compromised. Secondly, still close to the royal institution and government. So even if they get that security, you've got the people like this potentially working at the palace and being allowed to pass through palace doors with no due diligence. So apparently, I'm not going to read the whole article because it goes on a bit, but apparently ITV, they didn't just like accost this man on the street. They were inside of this so-called Active Club England for months. They proper penetrated the group. So, oh dear. Right at the heart of Buckingham Palace. Right at the heart of Buckingham Palace. What do you even say about that? Speaks for itself. Go to your comments. Legs, you said, didn't Kate have her event normally closer to Christmas? Wasn't it around the 20th normally? Why is it moved up? Oh, I know why. I mean, next year they'll be having a royal Halloween special. Best jump on that before Meghan does. Legs, isn't it interesting that Charles and Camilla haven't showed up for the last 2 years? Have they not? To be honest, I haven't noticed. Hi, Benjamin. Yes, what a pleasant surprise. We are here. We are here indeed. Electra, Anne is actually wearing a suit she wore in the 1970s. Who, Princess Anne? Oh, Princess Anne, by the way, is in Singapore using British taxpayer money. Do you know what she's using British taxpayer money to do? Do things like name a flower. Yes, she was in Singapore to help with the naming of a flower. How will we survive without these people if the institution never goes? Benjamin, you said courtiers are worse. Diana couldn't stand them. They put her through hell. Indeed. Just a bunch of emotionally dysfunctional people who are desperate to maintain their positions of power because they have no identity outside of their titles, who they're connected to in the royal household, who they're connected to in government. And they wield those titles and their status to get access in British society. And so they don't care just how degenerate and crazy they have to behave to stay there. Because for sure, if you walk into some of these places and you say, oh, I'm the courtier to the king. Yeah, for sure. Like some people are going to stand on their tiptoes in some circles. Now, if you said that to me, I'd be like, oh, good for you, sir. Have a nice day. Lecturer, Charles is unknowingly protecting them by not giving them security. Yeah, because he's actually just keeping them away. He's keeping them away. Because let's say if Charles had given them security, let's just say that scenario had happened, this person would still be in Buckingham Palace, liaising with these extremist groups and possibly planning goodness knows what. So yeah, I think you're right there. He's unknowingly protecting them by not giving them security. Because there's still too many crazy people attached to this institution. Now there was this story that popped up. A Miss Sophie Winkleman saying that the Windsors' lives are total hell and their fame is torture. It's a prison of their own making, if you ask me. This monarchy could have been modernized, reformed. Actually, modernized isn't even the word, because modernized would be whitewashing. Reformed. This monarchy could have been reformed to be more fitting of the modern era that we're in a long time ago. They had that choice. And after Diana passed away that should have been the turning point. Well, first of all, it should have never gotten to that point, but that could have and should have been a major turning point. So if life with the Windsors is total hell and torture, it's a hell and torture of their own making, I'm sorry. Because all of that privilege that they have, and they choose to still be nonsense. And that's me trying to use a nice word. So spare us the swan song, Miss Sophie Winkleman. Because even if you look at other royal families in mainland Europe, they are still relatively normal. Some of them even vacation together. You didn't even see the Windsors when, who was it? Was it the Danish princess turned 18? You saw all the royal families coming together for her birthday. You didn't see the Windsors there. Ain't nobody trying to mess with the Windsors. No one in those European aristo circles wanted any of their daughters for the Windsors. I wonder why. So how is it, even with all of their privileges, all of the other royal families seem to have at least modernized in some way, modernized and reformed in some way, except for the British royal family. They want to be dysfunctional. I'm sorry. They don't want to break generational curses. Harry's the only one that actively has tried, and at a great cost. But all of these courtiers, all of these hangers-on, they need to be gutted from the institution, first of all. And then maybe we can get somewhere. But even if you look at William and Kate, you know, more and more people are starting to talk about their lack of work ethic. It's starting to come into question. Their lack of impact versus the amount of money that we're spending on them. But let's have a look at what Miss Sophie Winkleman had to say. So Sophie Winkleman is a British actress, and she's married to Lord Frederick Windsor, who's the son of Prince Michael of Kent and Princess Michael of Kent. Is that the one who had the brooch, the infamous brooch at dinner when she first met Meghan? Winkleman is in the British royal family to a certain extent, but she has free reign to continue working as an actress and pursue any and all career paths. So even the career path that she has chosen to be in, this same family and these same circles trash it day in and day out. But I guess it's okay for her, just not for the biracial Duchess, yes? Her husband works as well for JP Morgan Chase. Well, They both work. So I'm not really bothered by these two people because they work. And if the other royals actually worked, I don't think a lot of people would have a problem with them either. So I don't know why Sophie here is singing them a whole swan song. I can actually have a sentiment of respect for Sophie and her husband because they work. It's interesting because Sophie gives interviews with some regularity, always to promote her work, but she inevitably makes news for what she says about the royals or her love-hate relationship with America. Currently, she's promoting a movie, but most of her Times interview is about her marriage, her kids, and the dangers of social media, and yes, the royals. She says that the Windsors live in hell. The more I get to know the royal family, the more I get that their lives are total hell, and that level of unasked for fame is a form of torture. None of them went on Pop Idol or something to be famous. To have that sort of blinding spotlight in your face from when you're born, not knowing quite whom you can trust, not knowing if someone is going to betray you. But who do they betray more than each other? The first betrayals in this family come from each other, not from outside. People writing lies about you the whole time. Well, those people writing lies about them are the British tabloid rotor rats who they're in bed with, are people like Murdoch who they're in bed with. That's who's writing the lies about them. She says, I feel for them. I don't think a life with that much scrutiny and pressure is remotely healthy, but they have no choice. I mean, I don't think that, a life of that much pressure and scrutiny is healthy either. But a lot of that scrutiny is warranted. If you're renting out moldy homes, if you're taking money from charities, a lot of that scrutiny is warranted. So she talks about her brother-in-law's passing. So this is, oh no, wait. No, she goes on to talk about the Windsors work so hard, apparently. The senior royals work really hard with thousands of charities in Britain. Well, they don't actually work with thousands of charities. Their names are attached to thousands of charities. They show up occasionally for a handful of charities dotted around the year, but they go to more vacations and they do charity events. Behind the scenes as well as front facing, there's no getting away from the fact that they add huge prestige and heft to whatever cause they're supporting. Actually, there was a research that was done years ago, a very extensive research that proved otherwise. I might actually dig that up. The Prince's Trust is the greatest engineer for social mobility in Britain. Is it really? Princess Anne does nearly 500 engagements per year that make no impact, and I can't name you a single one that she did. The Duchess of Edinburgh has just come back from Sudan, meeting surgeons who operate on violently odd toddlers. That is traumatic. Okay, did she give them any resources or money? I truly think my communist grandfather would be convinced by my arguments in favor of the royal family. Girl, please. Yeah, she talks about the passing of Thomas Kingston. Okay, so the article ends by saying, the more I get to know the royal family, the more I get that their lives are total hell, and that level of unasked for fame is a form of torture. Kaiser says, I don't necessarily disagree, but it's wild that the people who believe that the Windsors should be pitied are the same people dragging Harry and Meghan for getting out and refusing to put up with being tortured constantly. Exactly. It's also funny that she talks about how hard working the royal family is. She did not name check William and Kate whatsoever. I keep saying that there is a big awareness of William and Kate's significant flaws within the family. Indeed. Even within the family. She doesn't name check them once. But she name checked Princess Anne, and she mentioned Sophie's work with a small W. Tells you everything, no? Tells you everything. All right. Let's go to your comments. Benjamin, you said the other monarchies actually look down on the Windsors. I read that some time ago. I mean, I wouldn't blame them. I didn't see anyone offering their daughters. I didn't see any of their daughters, coming over for summer vacay in London to get me a prince. I didn't see none of that in back in the day. It was Kate waiting around for 10 years. Benjamin, you also said, personally, I believe that the universe is preparing Harry for the day when his father is no longer here. He will be set up already. Him and Meghan meeting was fate. I truly believe that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, him and Meghan meeting was fate. That was like Diana herself reached down from heaven and plucked Meghan and placed her there for Harry. I truly believe that. That was Diana's doing. They are now saying the first time Harry came over, Charles lied and said that he had a doctor's appointment. I don't know anything about that. All right. One last thing that I wanted to read. Oh, before I read the last thing that I was going to read. Here was a picture, unseen before, of Harry and Meghan. I believe this is when they were in New York with Angela Perla Astrology. She's a Ukrainian lady, she has a really big following. And she was sent this letter from Harry and Meghan. She's redacted some of it, but the part that we can read, they said, "We wanted to thank you for joining us. Your energy and insight was such a welcome addition. On a separate note, we hope your family in Ukraine remains safe, and we look forward to staying in touch, especially as we look to visit Australia again." Oh, Harry and Meghan want to visit Australia again. I do wonder where they're going to tour next year. Or rather, should I say, not where they're going to tour, where they're going to, who's invited them to come and visit. Because we only go where we're invited to, honey. We don't just roll up and start rolling around in jeeps. Very, very sweet for them to send that letter. Last thing I wanted to read out was this incredible article. Silly me, I don't have the screenshot, but it was by a squaddy called Just Word, who's on Substack. And she wrote about e-homes. Thoughts on e-homes? I have so many. Elizabeth Holmes, first a Meghan hater, turned super weirdo fan, and who recently decided to write a whole darn dissertation, honey. A whole darn dissertation on Harry and Meghan being at, Kris Jenner's birthday party. When I have never seen this woman, I don't think, write a dissertation about anybody else that the Windsors are associated with. But there was a very good article about her that I wanted to read out. On Substack. So it says, another day, another outrage. When it's not about a baseball hat, it's about a private citizen attending a birthday party for an unelected official. This week, E. Holmes, in her usual manner, took to Instagram to stir outrage, asking if Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, went to the World Series on the same day as ever launched. Of course, there had to be a hidden meaning behind Meghan attending a baseball game for leisure. Even worse, Holmes attempted to link them to the Prince Andrew situation, suggesting they were doing the Windsors a favor by offering up a royal story. I actually gasped. Yes, I gasped too. Because what do you mean going to a baseball game has anything to do with Prince Andrew and Harry and Meghan are trying to distract from Prince Andrew? Are you for real? The way some of these royal rota rats, and Elizabeth Holmes isn't part of the official royal rota, but I still consider her one of the rota rats. The way they come up with just fan fiction, I tell you. Why would Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, offer such a favor, especially when Meghan was thrown to the wolves to protect Andrew from accusations of sexual crimes while she was a working royal? Yet the most significant outrage apparently was that Harry and Meghan wore LA Dodgers hats, as if Meghan, born and raised in Los Angeles, had never been seen wearing one before. and Prince Harry sitting in the owner's boxes wearing the hat of a city where he pays taxes and where his wife grew up. The comment section, along with much of the internet, was filled with entitled voices crying, "He is the son of a king. He should be representing the Commonwealth." He is suddenly reminded that he is the king's son, yet denied the privileges of being one. Exactly. They want him to be a representative for an institution that turned their back on him and torture him and his wife. Absolutely not. His security clearance remains revoked, even though his threat level and that of his family remains high. Despite this, I've never seen any of these people advocate for his safety, least of all Elizabeth Holmes, the supposed arbiter of truth. They should have never given this lady an as ever give basket. I hope Harry and Meghan's people never have anything to do with this lady again. And she was at Invictus and got pretty close access. An absolute two-faced you-know-what. More recently, the former head of counter-terrorism gave an interview to the Telegraph's Victoria Ward. One might think this would prompt Holmes to post analysis or ask for opinions after watching the interview, but that, of course, isn't clickbait, nor does it generate outrage. Instead, she profits from dehumanizing two people who have become little more than fodder for her platform. Prince Harry, meanwhile, remains charming, hilarious, and even apologetic to the Canadian, though he and his wife should never have to endure such vitriol. People like Elizabeth Holmes, they're very typical of she's a monitoring spirit. That's what she is. She's one of these people who is fascinated and obsessed with you, but doesn't like you. Hands up in the comment section if you've ever had a friend like this. We've all had a friend like this. They'll keep themselves around you. They'll obsess over you, but they hate you. That's what Elizabeth Holmes is. A hater friend monitoring spirit. This week brought a new outrage. Harry and Meghan seen attending Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, a celebration hosted by Jeff Bezos and his wife at their Los Angeles home. Now, I dislike Jeff Bezos, but I understand nuance. I don't pretend to be shocked that multimillionaires and billionaires socialize with each other. I also admit to being a hypocrite because I shop at Amazon. Still, I reserve my outrage for public and elected officials, the people I can vote for and hold accountable, not for private citizens whose product or services I can choose to boycott. It's also worth reminding Elizabeth Holmes of her demographic. 53% of white women voted for Trump, compared to 92% of black women who voted for Harris. Holmes would do well to hold her own audience to account, since many of the narcissist comments on her page come from them. Black and biracial women as a whole rarely vote against their interests. Holmes continued her commentary, feigning outrage over Bezos while drawing insulting comparisons between Harry and Meghan's attendance at a birthday party and the royal family's participation in remembrance services. She failed to mention that the week prior, Harry had been in Canada, also attending veterans events, where he was once again accused of overshadowing his brother, who was in Brazil. Unlike his brother, Harry actually served in active duty for 10 years, with 2 tours in an active war zone, while many of his relatives wear medals they did not earn. Holmes also omitted details from Spare about how the palace spitefully denied Harry's request to lay flowers at the center path, or how in 2021 he and Meghan laid flowers at the Los Angeles War Cemetery only to be mocked for pretending to be working royals. What exactly would have been acceptable to Elizabeth Holmes this time? He attended a party on November 10th in LA, which, due to the time difference, coincided with November 11th. In the UK, does Prince Harry not deserve to show respect like other veterans? To compare them with that family that scapegoated them while protecting Prince Andrew left me with bile in my mouth, indeed. Because silence, not speaking about somebody else who's done something far worse, there's no comparison between Harry and Andrew. Not speaking about Andrew, that is a form of protection because you're silent. This brings me to Kate, the Princess of Wales, who was recently seen with none other than Donald Trump. Naturally, Elizabeth Holmes rushed to defend her, saying it was an official engagement. Yet it hasn't sorry, Yet it hasn't escaped my notice that during Trump's 2019 visit, the Times reported that Prince Charles and Prince William refused to meet him, leaving the Queen to greet him alone. Tom Sykes of the Daily Beast even noted that William, Harry, and Kate denied Trump what he most wanted: a photo, describing their avoidance as a protective move. Kate has missed multiple state dinners over the last 2 years and pulled out of Ascot only to reappear at Wimbledon, her favourite event. Forgive me for thinking that if she hadn't wanted to be seen with Trump, she could have quietly briefed the press about her reluctance. Yet this time, Kate and William told people they had a private meeting with the Trumps and it was warm and friendly. Unsurprisingly, Holmes omitted this entirely. Kate is granted endless grace, infantilized, and never held responsible for her own choices. And let's not forget, Trump is an elected official whose arrest and economically harmful policies have caused real suffering, the very kind Holmes claims to care about. Yet the outrage is reserved for two private citizens, one of whom can vote and almost certainly voted against him. Holmes may call herself an honest royal commentator, but I haven't seen her post about the backlash Prince William faced for taking a private flight to Brazil for the Earthshot Prize. Most of that criticism came from right-leaning conservatives, the monarchy's own base. Exactly. His own side were criticizing him. And what did Holmes say? Nothing. If she can ignore that, she should also refrain from fueling misplaced outrage against two private citizens, Harry and Meghan, simply enjoying a baseball game in Meghan's hometown. So what does Elizabeth Holmes really want? Let's not forget her RS coverage from 2018 to 2021, commentary that made many of us cry with our stomachs twisted in knots and genuinely fearful, from Bindergate, where she insisted Meghan was pretentious for carrying a folder when it was most likely to hide her bump, to her alarming commentary that persisted daily throughout Meghan's first pregnancy. I will never forget the numerous So Many Thoughts posts, especially when Meghan was in New York for her baby shower. One of her comments was, "Are you cradling your bump to subconsciously protect your baby, or out of habit, or to remind the world that you're pregnant? Because I'm pretty sure we know that." Another comment from Elizabeth Holmes at the time. Curious how Henry, the media hater, feels about making private moments into photo ops. Then there was the outright arism talking about Meghan wearing tights that were not her skin color, with the caption, "Hold the phone, nude pantyhose, hi Kate." Because guess what? Elizabeth Holmes, companies don't think of us, women of color, when making nude tights. There was also her constant commentary on Meghan's hair, and every black woman knows how sensitive and personal that subject is. It's too painful to type out in full. But I'll include screenshots below, just straight up mean, Oris woman energy. Now, sorry, I haven't got the screenshots, but it's basically just like a picture of Harry and Meghan, and she's got all this nasty like comments all over the picture. Stuff like, "Me thinks she's spectacularly out of her league." And should I call out her hypocrisy? She remains a contributor to the Wall Street Journal, a paper close to the Trump administration, and whose parent company has been involved in numerous phone hacking scandals. Y'all, how is it that Meghan's people have allowed this woman to get close at all? Ban her. Ban her immediately. That same company had to issue an apology to settle with Prince Harry for illegally gathering information. This makes her nasty comment about Henry, the media hater, sting even more. So, I'm just going to end because it's quite a long article. Finishes by saying, many of Meghan's supporters were shocked when Holmes was granted press access to their events and received PR packages from as ever. They showed her a grace she has never shown them. So if Elizabeth Holmes happens to read this, I hope she asks herself, what should a biracial woman be? Why should a biracial woman be used as sport, picked apart, mocked, and demeaned at every turn? How is that fair? What is the end game? The end game still to this day is still to cause harm to Meghan. That will always be the end game. And nasty people like Elizabeth Holmes help contribute to the environment where that is fueled. But as we all know, Meghan and Harry are covered in prayer, covered in the blessings of the ancestors, and karma has come. Oh, my series on TikTok is coming. Karma has come to everyone who has tried it with Harry and Meghan. And if Elizabeth Holmes isn't careful, it's also going to come to her. And with that, I have rambled for over an hour. My voice is starting to crack. I need to go get some food. I have a craving for some Vietnamese spring rolls. Thank you, everyone, for coming as always. I'm going to end with your comments and then we will wrap things up. Appreciate you all. Electra, you said Meghan's people need to vet the people better. Lizzie should never have gotten those packages near them again. Listen, I keep saying they need to have someone on the squad in their team. And now that doesn't have to be me. I do volunteer, but it doesn't have to be me. But they need someone. They need someone. Because unfortunately, these things keep happening. And, I get it to a certain point that perhaps, they don't want to seem like they're being petty or engaging in censorship. But you know what? At this point, I feel like they have the every right to just cut off anybody that they don't want near them. Just cut them off. At this point, Harry and Meghan don't owe anyone anything. If they want to cut people off and not give them access, cut them off and don't give them access. You don't explain. What explaining do you have to do at this point? After everything you've been through? All right, folks, I'm going to go get me some spring rolls. Spring rolls and maybe go walk on the beach or something. Love you all. For those, I don't know. For those of you who are going to watch in the replay, like I said at the beginning, there was nothing meant by that whole Kardashian thing. Like I said, I hope that Harry and Meghan are just careful with everyone and anyone around them. All right, folks, have a fantastic day. I will see you later. Ciao.